Welcome, everyone. You know that feeling, right? That tightening in your chest when rent is due, or when you just glance at house prices online. It's this crushing weight. Well, today, we're going to unravel what's really going on with the absolutely unsustainable cost of housing.
So let's start right there with that feeling, that squeeze that so many of us know all too well. You see this number, but it's not just a statistic. This is the daily reality for millions of people. A huge number of renters are now forced to spend over 30% of their income on rent. And for so many, it's way worse. It's over 50%. I mean, just imagine that. Half your paycheck is just gone, vanished, before you even think about groceries or gas or anything else.
It really feels like an unstoppable force, doesn't it? Like prices are on this runaway train, and we're just stuck watching it go. But what's actually driving this? What is the engine behind these completely out-of-control costs? Okay, so at its very core, what we have is a crisis of affordability. It's a simple but pretty brutal equation, right? There's this massive and growing gap between what we earn and what it costs to just have a roof over our heads. And that gap, that's where all the stress and the anxiety comes from. Now, the most common explanation you always hear is that, houses themselves are just way more expensive to build now. The cost of lumber, of concrete, of labor, it's all shot up. But what does the evidence actually say? Let's take a look.
And this is where things get really interesting. Because the common story, the one we all hear about materials and labor, the data tells a completely different story. The fact is, when you actually adjust for inflation, the cost to build a home has barely moved over the long term.
And this chart just makes it crystal clear. I mean, look at the two bars. The build cost, adjusted for inflation, it's a tiny little increase. But the median home price, it has gone into orbit. There's a huge disconnect here, a puzzle that the price of 2x4s just cannot solve.
So, if it's not the building itself, what on earth are we actually paying for? What is this invisible thing that's cranking the price up so dramatically?
Well, it turns out the answer is literally right under our feet. It's not the house, it's the ground that the house is sitting on. This is so revealing. When you break down the cost of a modern home, you see that a huge and growing part of what you pay is for the land itself. The actual building, the structure, is becoming a smaller and smaller piece of the total price tag.
This is what economists call the location premium. It's the extra value a piece of dirt has just because it's in a good spot, close to jobs, good schools, you name it. And that premium goes through the absolute roof when the supply of housing in that area is kept artificially low.
Think about it this way. When your rent goes up, but your apartment building is exactly the same as it was last year, same leaky faucet, same drafty windows, you're not paying for a better building. You are paying for more valuable land. The rising cost has almost nothing to do with the quality of the building and everything to do with the value of its location.
All right, so that brings us to the next big question. Why has this specific land in these specific places where people need to live become so incredibly valuable?
And here's the crucial part. This is not a natural shortage. This is a man-made one. It's created by things like restrictive zoning rules that literally say, you can't build an apartment building here. It's created by long, complicated, and expensive permitting delays that just kill new projects. And it's created by land speculation, where owners just hold on to empty lots, waiting for the prices to go up and up and up. It's a system that basically chokes the supply of housing right where we need it most.
So if you boil it all down, the problem is this one powerful idea. The housing crisis is a failure to allow our most valuable, high-demand land to actually hold more people. We are preventing our best land from being used to its full potential. But, and this is the good news, if this is a problem created by policy, that means it can be fixed by policy. We are not powerless here. We can absolutely make different choices.
And there's actually a pretty clear path forward. It's built on a few core ideas. First, we just have to allow more types of homes where they're needed most. That's called upzoning. Then, we need to actively discourage people from just hoarding land, with policies that make it expensive to sit on empty lots. And finally, we can totally rethink how we tax property, so we're encouraging development, not penalizing it.
One really powerful idea here is something called a land value tax. This table shows how it completely flips the script. Right now, our system often punishes people for improving their property by taxing them more. A land value tax focuses on the land itself. What this does is create a really strong incentive to use that land productively, to actually build something on it, not just sit on it and watch the value grow.
And if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. The housing crisis is not a law of nature. It is not inevitable.
It is the direct result of choices, policy choices we've made as a society. This is a problem that we created.
And that leaves us with a really fundamental question about the future we want to build. What could our cities look like? How much better could our lives be if we really decided that land was for housing people first, not just as a tool for growing wealth?
If this explainer helped you understand the bigger picture behind the headlines and the crazy prices, please do us a favor and like and subscribe. Your support really helps us make more of these. Thanks so much for watching.